10 years ago, on September 1st, I was run over by a car. I was riding my bike about to cross 3rd Avenue. I looked across the street and saw a red sports car about to reach the four-way stop. And then, it hit me. I was run over by the same car that I saw less than a second ago. I rolled underneath the front bumper as my bike skidded out from underneath me, right into the back bumper, only to end up going back into the front bumper. My right arm got wedged into one of the tires. As for my left, I couldn't feel it. Eventually, I ended up popping out from under the side and landed in the alley, down on my knees first, or what I had left of them. During this time, I blacked out 4 times within the span of 10 seconds. The last one being right after I landed in the alley. The driver of the red sports car had their car stopped at the next four-way stop. They woke me up from my blackout, helped me stand up on my feet, told me their name was Eric, and then said they'd drive me home, but their car would have nowhere for my bike to go. And then they skipped town. I could stand, but I was somewhat dreading being alive for the moment. I couldn't move my left arm at all without feeling excruciating pain and screaming out. My knees were gone, or more specifically, the knee meat was gone. I had 2 large gashes in each knee, deep enough to see the kneecaps. I could just barely walk, and it took forever, especially since I had to walk with my knees always bent. I cried every step along the way. As I began to walk home, I thought to myself, I may have been run over by a car today, but at least I'm still walking. I may have lost my knee meat, but I'm still walking. And I may only have my right arm properly working, but I'm still walking. It was a bit of nonsense, but at least it kept my mind off falling over after the first time I fell over and hobbled to get myself back on my feet. One of my neighbors came by on their golf cart and spoke to me. I told him that I was just run over by a car on 3rd Avenue and was struggling to walk my bike home. He followed me until I got home. I put my bike away and threw my book bag into the house using only my properly working limb, my right arm. There were tire marks on it, but it didn't really hurt as much as everything else. I sat there waiting in my neighbor's golf cart for my mom to come home. Eventually, my mom came home, and when I told her I was run over by a car, she instantly called an ambulance. Later on, the ambulance and the cops rushed over and asked what injuries I had sustained. I told them I had 2 large gashes in each knee. I couldn't move my left arm without screaming because of the excruciating pain. I had tire marks on my right arm, and my neck was also kind of sore. I was loaded into the ambulance and whisked away to the ER. After arriving, I chatted to the nurse wheeling me into the room. After I got in the room, I thought it'd be a good idea to play a trick on the doctor. Not like I was really going anywhere for a while, so I decided I'd play dead right when the doctor got in the room. I heard the door close and saw the doctor enter the room, and so I played dead. Must have been pretty convincing as the doctor shrieked in fear, "Oh my god, he's dead!" At that time, I was having an out-of-body experience. I saw the room as if I was just watching it all. The doctor shrieking in fear that I was dead, and the nurse saying, "What? That's impossible. I was just talking to him when we were in the hallway to the room." I was laughing on the inside to myself, just reveling in the moment. I had seen a yellow radiant light. Regardless of that, I returned to my body and awoke to reveal that I was playing dead that whole time. The doctor had a gasp of relief and looked like he was going to pass out on the spot. Later on, my grandma came to visit me in the ER and I said, "Oh, Grandma, you came." And she replied, "Of course I did, dear. You know, it's not every day your grandson gets run over by a car." I had tears in my eyes, not because I was happy to see Grandma there, but because I tried moving my left arm again. What was worse was when I had to do the CAT scan, where you have to lift both arms above your head. Not exactly easy when you can't willfully move your left arm without feeling extreme pain. For the longest time, they wouldn't let me use the bath because I hadn't been scanned for X-ray. My grandma eventually convinced them to let me go. It was later discovered that I had internal bleeding in my stomach, and X-rays revealed that my left arm was not broken. Instead, the 2 bones which reside within the arm had switched places. I was told that they'd go back in place on their own eventually, but the pain and stiffness would remain until it fully healed. I remained in the ER until midnight when I was allowed to go home. It was hard to walk, but it was even harder to get up the stairs to my room with only one properly working limb. Through it all, I still got up the stairs to my room and slept the night away. 1 week later, my mother asked me to pick up the mail from the post office, and it took me half an hour to get there and back. To put it in perspective for you, I live on 2nd Avenue, and the post office is on 1st, just 1 street before mine. It took me so long to go there and back. I was so mad at my mom. She of all people knew I was run over by a car just 1 week ago, and yet she still asks me, her son, who basically can't walk, get the mail. Still to this day, it's one of my angriest memories. Another week passed, and I returned to school, where the 7th graders were afraid of. They were all convinced I was a ghost, and I had returned to haunt them with my slow walking, deadly wails, and tears that welled from my eyes. I had some fun pretending I was a ghost around. Apparently, it was on the morning announcements, the day after I was run over, that they announced I was run over by a car. I spent the rest of the year, part of the next, recovering. On my saddest days, I think I'm still recovering.